Hello, my name is Bob Walters and I'm a first time novelist. Today I'm looking at my favorite movies, ones that have stayed with me from the first time I've seen them and that have influenced my writing style. This is a list of my top 10 movies in no particular order and with no interest in whether they are classics or not, just my favorites. Number 1, Field of Dreams, 1989, directed by Phil Alden Robinson. If I had to put one film on the very top of my list, it would be this one. Director Phil Alden Robinson throws back this story to a bygone day in Hollywood where good drama and magical realism can be combined in the same way as, say, It's a Wonderful Life, which this film is often compared to. Field of Dreams has become a modern day classic, with the hapless farmer who is told by an unseen voice, "If you build it, they will come." He figures out that a baseball field in the middle of his corn crops is the it that he is supposed to build, and he does as he's told. This film is dreamlike and sentimental, and it is altogether better for it. The ending with the game of catch still makes me cry each and every time I see it, and I know for a fact that I'm not alone in that response. As a writer, this movie gives me courage to write fantasy in a way that doesn't have to be over the top to be effective. Number 2, Aliens, 1986, directed by James Cameron. James Cameron, as a director and producer, has proven himself to be a master at his craft with several Oscar nominations and wins under his belt. He pushes the boundaries of filmmaking technology while telling a great tale. But in this film, it is the screenwriting that I most latch on to. Aliens, the sequel to the horror sci-fi classic Alien, ramps up the energy, the tension, the drama, and literally everything else, and packages it in a way that nobody had really done at that level up to the point. This movie is bold and unnerving, and it moves like an unstoppable freight train with scene after scene of terrifying drama. But at the heart of it all, there is a beautiful thread of tenderness with Ripley, our heroine, trying to save a little girl. It is the writing in those scenes, scattered throughout the story, that most impress me, a sense of humanity amidst the chaos. Number 3, Broadcast News, 1987, directed by James L. Brooks. James L. Brooks came from the world of TV before moving on to feature films. In Broadcast News, he uses his experience in the TV world to tell a behind-the-scenes story of a news station, with all of its flaws laid bare to the world. But the character writing is what separates this film from the rest of the pack. The characters are humane, emotional creatures who struggle with life and love and career. In particular, our leading lady, played by the incredible Holly Hunter, several years before she would win her Oscar, is an aggressive workaholic who is looking for love but is hopelessly married to her job. This movie is funny and inspiring while also being a bit tragic thanks to the brilliant writing of James L. Brooks. Number 4, Empire of the Sun, 1987, directed by Steven Spielberg. If you're a Spielberg fan, then you probably realize what I'm about to say before I say it. Empire of the Sun should be considered among the finest of his films, but unfortunately isn't, and that is a tragedy. When it was released, it was sandwiched between a bunch of other classics that he directed around the same time, and this film got lost among the crowd. It is my favorite of all Spielberg films, and that is saying a lot. Here, a young Christian Bale plays a British prisoner of war in Asia at the end of World War II. Bale, for as young as he was, carries the emotional weight of this film on his back like a true movie star. His performance is breathtaking and heartbreaking in each and every scene. This film combines a kid's story and war, a rare combination for sure, but Spielberg walks that fine line like the expert he is. Number 5, The Abyss, 1989, directed by James Cameron. This is the second James Cameron movie on my list, and it packs the same punch as Aliens, but in an entirely new way. Cameron puts his cast and crew through hell while filming the movie, since the majority of it takes place underwater. Cameron would go on to master those same underwater techniques years later when he directed Titanic. The Abyss gets a lot of criticism for its portrayal of the alien species within it, but I have never watched this film for the aliens. This is a film about being underwater for 2 hours. It's claustrophobic and unnerving, with sequences that still make me hold my breath. There is one incredible action scene after another, with the stakes ramping up each time. It's a masterclass in action directing, and one that allows us to glimpse the genius of the man who will go on to direct Titanic and Avatar. Number 6, Roxanne, 1987, directed by Fred Schepisi. Based on the French comedy Cyrano de Bergerac, screenwriter and actor Steve Martin updates the setting to Colorado, USA. Like its predecessor, this movie is ridiculous from the outset. A man with a long nose overcomes the travails of his love life by using humor, wit, and intelligence to prevail. Steve Martin's performance here is one brilliant comedic setup after another, one punchline after another, all while keeping true to the heartfelt source material written 100 years earlier. Steve Martin's genius screenplay is on full display, and he takes the audience with him every step of the way. As a writer, I can only dream of writing something so profound while still being so hilarious. Number 7, Dances with Wolves, 1990, directed by Kevin Costner. This movie has a unique history of being an unmade screenplay first, then turned into a novel, then back to a production screenplay before the actual filming began, proving that the source material was strong enough to transcend each genre. Here, a Civil War lieutenant finds himself on the outback post in the American West. He eventually befriends Native American tribes and finds his true love, but not before American soldiers interfere. The screenplay receives a lot of criticism for its use of voiceover, but that element for me is part of the incredible journey of this one man telling his story through his diary, which would have been commonplace in that era in history. The American landscapes are gorgeously shot, the music score is Oscar-winning, and the performances are incredible. This is my favorite Western by a long stretch. Number 8, Crocodile Dundee, 1986, directed by Peter Feynman. Crocodile Dundee became a surprise hit, and it put Australia on the map and gave hearty voice to the Aussie humor that is now known worldwide. Paul Hogan, as both writer and actor, takes a common fish out of water story, gives it a brush up with grand comedic sensibilities. Mick Dundee, an outback Aussie, discovers new adventures in America's Big Apple alongside a lovely reporter who he's fallen hopelessly in love with. The movie is a charming classic with one of my all-time favorite endings to a romantic film. Number 9, Jumpin' Jack Flash, 1984, directed by Penny Marshall. At that time, Penny Marshall and Whoopi Goldberg were two comedians working at the top of their craft. Penny Marshall wisely stays out of Whoopi's way and lets her performance loose onto the world, a very smart directing decision. Whoopi Goldberg would go on to win an Oscar just a few years later. Jumpin' Jack Flash is an absolutely quintessential 80s comedy, with its synthesizer score and absurd premise about spies. And although it hasn't aged well, it still has some finely tuned comedic scenes that make me roll with laughter each time I watch them. Number 10, Amadeus, 1984, directed by Milos Forman. My love for music was already firmly grounded by the time I watched Amadeus as a teenager, but it solidified my desire to pursue music, and 40 years later I'm still playing, in part thanks to this film. The fictionalized story of Mozart and his rival Salieri is based on an award-winning play. In the hands of director Milos Forman, the incredible source material is turned into an even more incredible film. Two completely different genres, each finding their own unique voice. F. Murray Abraham's Oscar-winning turn as villain Salieri is one for the history books, both menacing and tragic, often within the same scene. This movie is lush and rich and stunning, each frame a masterpiece of filmmaking. But at the heart of it all is the profoundly deep look into the artistic process and rivalry of a genius. There you go, the list of my top 10 favorite movies. I'm anxious to hear if any of my favorite films made your top 10 list. Until next time, this is Bob Walters. Thanks for watching.